Liverpool have not replaced Luis Diaz, and we are finding out the hard way. It was so obvious against Man City. In fact, that was a great case study for what I'm trying to argue here, in that we've not replaced this guy. Not only is Diaz he's on the form of his life right now at Bayern Munich, he's scoring every single week. That goal he scored the other week where he curls it in, it's like, this guy's playing with such confidence right now. So not only is that happening in front of our eyes every single week, but this Man City game was such a great case study for how we've not replaced that left-hand side when Diaz left, right? We had no angle, no pace angle, no direct outball on that left-hand side in the whole of the Man City game. And you know what makes it even more frustrating? Look at their left-hand side. Their best player, the best player in the whole game by a country mile, was Jeremy Doku. He was fantastic. Arguably, his best game of all time, people are saying. Certainly the best game I've seen him have on our watch. Against us. That does not reflect well on, one, Conor Bradley, but two, Liverpool. That his best game came on the same pitch as Liverpool. How can he do it? How have Man City got to play like that? A player who's direct, a player who's fast, a player who's skillful, who's confident, energetic. A player who beats his fullback with either pace or skill, one of the two. We don't have that. Liverpool don't have the Njais of the world, the Semenyos, the Estevals, the Dokus. We're far from that right now. Gakpo, and this is not a reflection on Gakpo, by the way. We'll talk about Diaz, I'm sure, in a minute. Me saying that we have not replaced Diaz, me saying that we don't have a Jeremy Doku, is not me bringing Gakpo down in my estimations. In fact, I'm one of the guys who's actually coming in here trying to defend Gakpo week in, week out, because I believe he's wrongly being used as not a case study, wrongly being used as a scapegoat in this team when he shouldn't be. Gakpo's fantastic, but he's none of those things I just listed off then about Doku. Gakpo's not fast, particularly for a winger, like rapid. He's not very explosive. I mean, he is off, I'd say, 1 to 2 metres in terms of shifting his body weight, getting a shot away. He's so great at that, finding the angle to then create a shot, finding the space for himself. But he's not dribbler like Diaz was, or like a Doku or Njai or Semenyo are, these great players in the league we're seeing now. He's not very fast, not very skillful, certainly, but Gakpo's great at other things. Again, I'm not bringing him down. He's a fantastic finisher. He's very, very efficient. He knows exactly where he wants to be, what he wants to get from the attacking phase. He knows he wants to cut into that onto that right foot, shoot for the right hand side of the goal, inside the post. Very one-dimensional. He's good at it. He's efficient at it. However, he's not what Doku is, and that's a big problem in my opinion. Gakpo's very good and very useful in the constraints of a system because he goes with the grain, Gakpo, and that's a good and bad thing. It's a good thing when it's working, but it's a bad thing when it isn't. Doku's one of them players who, what I mean by that is this, Doku goes against the grain. Doku has that kind of initiative to create on his own. If plan A isn't working for Man City or Liverpool, who is going to find more success? Doku, going off instincts, being creative, making things happen on his own, or is it going to be Gakpo, who all he kind of does, and again I'm defending him here because I think he's really good at it, but all he kind of does is cut inside. I'm yet to see him take his man on the outside. When plan A isn't working, when the team isn't working, and when the setup isn't built around the player, Gakpo or Doku, who's going to work when it isn't working? It's Doku, because he can do things on his own, and I don't believe Gakpo can. And we can extend this to the right-hand side, by the way. This is not a limited conversation to the left-hand side. We're missing that expressionism or expressivism, one of them words there. I feel like I've used the right word there. That kind of creativity, we're missing that on the right-hand side as well. Salah's been a shadow of his former self this year. If you're ranking all of Salah's seasons, you put this down there with one of the worst. So far, you've got to say that. And if this carries on throughout the season, you're certainly putting it down there as the worst, in my opinion. So yeah, you can extend it across the team. In fact, the best resemblance we've got to a Jeremy Doku, a Semenyo kind of player now, have a guess, it's Rio Ngamoa. He's 17 and he's not getting a sniff. I'm led to believe if he starts next week after the international break, can we get much worse if Ngamoa starts? No. For the record, I wouldn't start him, but I do believe we can't lose more games. How are we going to lose more games? We're losing every game as it is. I do believe he should be used off the bench more, as that different angle, just something new, just a bit of sparkle over the top. Look at Diaz now. Everything about Diaz we miss right now. The energy he offers. I think Diaz is, I mean, if you're comparing this black or white, yes or no, who's a better player off the ball, Diaz or Gakpo? I love Gakpo, but it's Diaz. It is absolutely Diaz. We've seen an Isak play a lot of this season, who's been half fit. We've seen a Salah play a lot of this season, who hasn't been just obviously as sharp as he used to be. Like I believe he has shown glimpses like against Aston Villa and Real Madrid. He was fantastic and he looked sharp. He looked on the ball. That was probably his best two performances back-to-back this season. But then you look at the game yesterday, for me, really slow. And again, he's not helped by that position he's playing in. I think he's too deep, he's too wide. He needs to be close to goal, and playing as a right midfielder doesn't help. However, in terms of that press, in terms of off the ball, Diaz led the charge last year, and I'm imagining he's leading the charge right now for Bayern Munich. I'm only watching highlights, I'm not watching full 90s, but I can just imagine what he's doing for them, and how great he's off the ball. I think we'd be a better side right now with Diaz in this team. Maybe not on the ball. I think you could definitely make an argument for Gakpo holds his own in terms of output. We saw it last season. If you put the numbers together, Diaz had a really good start to last season, but I think Gakpo over the season maybe went toe-to-toe with goals or output. I'm not actually sure what numbers there, but just from what I feel like happened anyway. But you could certainly make a case for Diaz trumps him off the ball. I think we're missing that, and I think we've been so disjointed this season off the ball in terms of Gakpo being worse than Diaz, maybe Isak or Ekitike being worse than... I think Nunes, give Nunes some credit there in terms of him off the ball. It was fantastic, the energy he brought. Very direct, very hungry as well. And Jota, of course. What a fantastic player off the ball, and on the ball, but certainly off it, Jota was. Wow. He ran and ran. Not to say Ekitike doesn't. In fact, I really think he does. But in terms of that cohesion, you've got a 4 there who played every single week, or certainly a 3 with Szoboszlai. You've shaken the 3 up, you've swapped 3 of them round, and arguably you've gotten worse individually. It's like, that's interesting. And you wonder why we can't win games and can't win the ball back in their half. I just thought against Aston Villa it was so obviously working. You go back to that team of old. But then we saw that team of old, if you like, I suppose without Wirtz. We saw that in the previous game, we got beat. So what do I know? I do believe we are missing a Doku player. Someone who can use their initiative, someone who can be creative, who can change a game just like that, like in 5 seconds. The game's flat, bang, give them the ball and they're going to go and create for themselves. They can break the mould, they can go against the grain of the system and the tactics and the idea that you're trying to follow. Because when that ain't working, we've got nothing, really, let's be real. And Doku had his best game ever on our watch. And when only that, we're watching Diaz every week score these wonder goals, and he's scoring 2 a game, Champions League goals, and oh man, it makes you miss him. But at the time, a lot of people were like, well, yeah, Diaz is not good enough for us. He's not consistent enough. He's not scoring enough goals. And whilst, yeah, there was a period where Diaz wasn't scoring enough goals, it's very easy to sit in now he has gone and doing well, to say, well, I didn't want to sell him anyway. Go back to my videos. I certainly didn't want to sell him. I thought that was the wrong choice. And I thought if you were going to sell him, you have to replace him. Because going into the season, we've got one natural left winger who's a senior player. I know Engamo is now in the first team, but at the time he was 16. Gakpo was that left winger. Last year we balanced Gakpo and Diaz. They kind of bounced off each other. They pushed each other for game time. Right now Gakpo's pushing with an attacking midfield player and Wirtz playing in the wrong position. Maybe an Ekitike could play off the left when Isak's fit, but it's like, really? Most teams have 2 left wingers. Even Arsenal, Trossard, Martinelli. Isak, Eze. Trossard, Martinelli and Eze can obviously fill in there as well. City, left wingers. We've got one natural proper left winger. And it's not even worth talking about Engamo because he's not been given a sniff. Even when we're 3-0 down in the game, you can't bring him on for 10 minutes. The same with Chiesa, you can't bring him on for 10 minutes. I think Chiesa right now is the second closest player we've got to one of these profiles I'm talking about here. In terms of just going on their own, doing something. Grabbing the ball. I think we're missing something there. I'd love to know your thoughts down below. Do we need a Doku, a Semenyo, an Njai, an Estevao? I believe we do. Maybe not in terms of a Semenyo quality, because I think he's fantastic. Maybe not even in terms of a Diaz quality. Someone who's maybe less good, but has all them attributes. Has that profile. Will grab the ball and go and do something on his own. Because we don't have that right now in our team. You could stretch that from left wing to right wing to... I think Ekitike is a massive outlier there because he will. A lot of Ekitike's goals this year have been feeding off scraps, just kind of him making it happen. Him charging the defenders down. Him putting the pressure on and causing a nuisance and creating mistakes. So credit to him. But off on that left-hand side, I've not really seen enough this year. And when it's happening against you with Doku, that's a big problem. Let me know your thoughts down below. See you next one.